We live in glut. Like everyone is swamped. All the tea in China and mountains of corn and 10 million blogs, the periodic table and marketing strategies, dream imagery. What time is it? Thing after another. Creativity, journalism ethics, database management. The mind is barraged. It's machine production. It's like 100 billion data points scattered across the brain. In the maelstrom, who cares about lost languages or dying species? I'm so busy. Oh, have you tried the new restaurant? You should definitely read this book. I'm sorry I didn't call you back. I've been really, really swamped. The thrilling allure of endless possibilities. The shock and awe of data pouring down on our heads. What does it do to the experience of mystery, to our ability to hear? Journey, Shanghai. Coming into Shanghai harbor yesterday by boat, I witnessed 2 whole hours of factories and container ships and refineries and grit and filthy water and jumpsuited laborers along the banks of the river. It's an economic success story which I do not understand, and a black pall of smudge on the air. In China, things are being burnt. A lot of things. Coal, incense, petroleum, tobacco, the past, the earth in general. In your throat, the air tastes like gall, like sandpaper, like excess, like bile. We're sheathed in the pollution here. It gathers around us like dirty felt. It's granular, and we are in the crematorium of earth. You see, two dear friends of mine, before dinner, they say this. It's by the poet Robinson Jeffers. And we know the enormous, invulnerable beauty of things is the face of God, and we live gladly in its presence. I would like to live gladly in the presence of much. This piece is about much, about many, about lots. I brought it with me to China, the most populous country in the world, to see if maybe I could begin to understand. It starts in Shanghai and heads west. And everywhere are people and economic growth. I brought it here to see multiplicity and hugeness, see it visually, up close, concrete. I brought it here to see what I cannot know, what it is to not know. Mystery itself. In this life, we float in a vast field of unknowing. We clutch at facts to relieve this unknowingness. Everything glitters. Full knowing is an illusion. The gap between the immensity of the world and the tininess of our brains means we are engineered permanently into mystery we cannot know. Oh, but if only I could know! The encyclopedia is born. But what then is lost? The glow of the unknown. Look over there. Where? There, look. It's so cool. Where? You missed it. Well, missed what? It's gone. Shit, what happened to my to-do list? Well, make another one. Oh, damn it, I forgot to call Sally. Keep focused, watch the breath impassively. Misdiagnosis, critical theory, culture shock, a crisis at work, malaria, samsara, mayday, mayday. So what's the main point here? You know, so much of our ecosystem is hidden. Mycelium mulches the trees and spores saturate the wind, and we do not see. Bird flus fly west, and sunspots quicken our pulse, and we don't even know. So if there is so much about this world that we don't even notice, how can we write about it? It must be filled with unknowns. The vastness of what we do not and cannot comprehend. We ourselves are unknown, at sea in a world of perplexities. Know thyself? Bosh. The remnants and relics of 1,000 ancient languages crinkled inside our brains. But, in nature, in the wild, when we're lucky, the shipwreck of our own personal craziness gets pulled in by the undertow of continents, by the oceanic currents ebbed by moon. Is this the antidote to 24/7? We do need an antidote. Journey, Shanghai. I sit in the Cloud9 bar. Cloud9 bar on the highest floor of the Jinmao Tower, one of the highest buildings in the world. Even up here, the shroud of smog. Through the filthy air below, the uncountable skyscrapers. On their rooftops, geometric shapes, spheres and domes. On top of 50 or 60 or 70 floors of steel and concrete and glass and stone. And up here, on the 87th floor, drinks and jazz. The jazz here is good. I must be in the future. 2006. A barge of grunge bilges upriver, 1,300 feet below. China with 1.3 billion souls. Souls in the material world. My Chinese friend Ma Hong said to me once, conspiratorially, it's more like 1.5 billion. The government's always trying to minimize it to 1.2 or 1.3 billion. Plus or minus 200 or 300 million people in the fudging of a bureaucrat. How deep is the unknown? And now here in the Cloud9 bar on the 87th floor, a quarter of a mile above the earth, the customers' digital cameras and cellular phones sit on the splendid cracked glass table. The waitress looks bored. Even this, the beauty and horror of this kind of building over this kind of city, eventually fades into the humdrum. She's probably counting the hours until she goes home. Home in maybe one of those apartment towers. Secrets, an official mystery. The United States government created 15 million secrets in 2004. How many more secrets can they make? Are there an infinite number of secrets? Of bacteria? And how many cheetahs are left in the Namibian game parks? The mind wants to know a number. There are 50,000 wolves in the United States and 50 million dogs. So what is the United States government doing now, 15 minutes later? Creating more secrets? And are they secrets we probably should know? I mean, is discovering secrets more about creating just feelings that we like, feeling good that the Watergate cover-up has been exposed to the bright light of day, and that bad Richard Nixon has been stopped in his tracks? That I'm one of the ones that knows that global warming is actually happening? that the species are dying out, that the universe is so and so many parsecs wide, that Darth Vader is really Luke's dad? That is to say, once again, a feeling good even amidst the bad. Journey. Got on the train last night, and the morning shows peasants in the just harvested wheat fields. Peasants gathering sheaves and stacking sheaves and threshing wheat and winnowing wheat and drying wheat on concrete platforms and rooftops. And above them and before them and after them and all around them, concrete cooling towers for coal-fired power plants and bicycles and motorbikes in between the fields. The relentless complexity of the world, writes Gary Snyder. The goddess of the world showers us with blessings. Do we demand of this world that it constantly stimulate us? We do. Ah, how we are blessed. The peasant hoes the field and the little boy walks along with mom. And in my ears, the Cornelius brothers sing, "It's too late to turn back now." Gaze at the leafy, decadent clouds. Two million people in prison in the United States? 10,000 years since the last ice age. 100 million blogs in China. We're like pornography addicts for data. I mean, how many cell phones are there now? And how many channels are there on TV? There's 1 billion people in India, each with their dreams, every single night. We're made small by crowds. The sense of crush and insignificance. Insignificance. And by God, we do want to signify. What normal person remembers the batting averages of 1967? Who mourns the dead of the War of 1812? News item, Associated Press. World marks 90th anniversary of World War I Battle of the Somme. July 1st, 1916 was one of the deadliest days the British Army ever saw, leaving 20,000 victims. When the British-led soldiers climbed out of their trenches this morning, they were greeted by volley after volley of machine gun fire, mowing them down. One of the few surviving veterans of World War I joined a 90th anniversary tribute, 110-year-old Henry Allingham. So do you see how they just bomb people in Iraq with abandon? Plenty more where they came from. And that dodo bird looked funny. Or 800,000 Tutsis. Or 1.7 million Cambodians. Or killed by Mao, or killed by Hitler, or killed by Stalin, or killed by Genghis Khan, or killed by Alexander the Great. Quote, an estimated 30 million people starved to death. Some put the number at 60 million in the Great Leap Forward. One reads this in a book of exotic travel destinations. So, this is my question. How do we place ourselves, our holy, amazing, electric selves, in relation to this much, to this gathering and dissemination of horrors by journalism school graduates and satellite transmission? And what's our own part in this? To our own screaming desire of, if only I could know. Full knowing is an illusion. The gap between the immensity of the world and the tininess of our brains, we're hardwired for mystery in the great wash of geologic time. An infinite number of bacteria. We gorge upon this life because we cannot bear to have it ripped away. This is fattening. The new Three Gorges Dam will back up the Yangtze River for 330 miles and flood the homes of 2 million people. It will receive the untreated wastes of 40 towns and cities and 400 factories. It will be 610 feet high and 1.2 miles wide. And it will produce as much electricity as 18 nuclear power plants and disrupt the environments of the endangered Yangtze River dolphin and Chinese sturgeon, and submerge 8,000 archaeological sites. So, what is the effect on your gut of these numbers? Check it. The great thing about much is that you never feel trapped because the choices are endless. The great thing about much is you get a lot more pleasure than if you don't have enough. The great thing about much is you feel like the king of everything and nobody can tell you what to do. The great thing about much is that you're never bored or angry because you are constantly stimulated. The great thing about much is that we can water down pain with plenty. The great thing about much is that every new day really is new. In the very thickness of the present lurks the unknown. Meanings not to be discovered for decades crowd around offhand statements by him or by her. Meanings not to be discovered until years later, till after she died or after he turned on you. Not to be discovered until you think back. Oh. In the thickness of the present are flummoxing waves of past events. Whole Hiroshimas and Krakatoas reverberating through the actions of teachers and businessmen and madmen in cafes. Dinosaur-killing meteors tore open niches for life, now populated by rodents and kangaroos and coyote legends that would never have fruited on the fertile plain of Earth had we, the stegosaurs and brontosaurs, stepped aside and let us in to populate the surface of a planet in an outer space of 240 billion galaxies. The Great Conspiracy. David Attenborough is a Cambridge-educated zoologist. He wrote this: "The seas, which had condensed from clouds of steam surrounding this new planet, were still hot, and water was still gushing into them from sources deep in the crust. In these chemically rich waters, complex molecules were forming. Eventually, after an immense span of time, specks of living matter appeared." Specks appeared. This is how the scientific mind elides genteelly over the greatest howling mystery there is. Life appeared. The creationists, of course, make much of this sidestep, but neither can our wild ignorance of what happened be so blithely ignored. Something unfathomable occurred, and nobody knows what it was, and no chains of phylum and genus neatly diagrammed, no huge libraries of stacked textbooks on microbiology, no richly funded human genome project, none of it can tell you what that big something was. We go about our days, and yet Factory, factory, Wal-Mart, bird. To be read aloud. Factory, factory, Wal-Mart, bird. Construction, finance, tower, toll. Cargo, shipping, debt, delete. Poet, history, river, bird. Imports, wages, pixels, dams. Tanker, drilling, airport, facts. Money, 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 wolf. Poet, history, river, bird. Mountain, mountain, earthquake, sun. Journey in the gorges. Towering cliffs rise from the silent river, free of any human settlement. Ribbings of yellow-blue rock appear out of the hot mist, dwarfing the human. Little inlets snake back into forever, from whence they came. And the vertical looms above us, incomprehensible. And then, on deck, the Chinese women begin to sing, and humanity rallies to do its part. Traces. Traces of you, are left behind everywhere you go. Bloodhounds can follow this. Residues of what you did and did not do resound round the globe. You are the tiniest speck which is also crushing microorganisms with brutal disregard. The smoke underneath your accelerator destroys the cheetah, one exhaust at a time. The love that you give your friends keeps the whole world alive. We chant the sutra of our own continuation, ghastly and fantastic, for every day of our bumbling, magnificent lives. May you echo through the universe, as you undoubtedly will. And now, as you wheel on the beach in the embrace of sand on the wind, know for yourself that you can never know yourself. Your movements are inherited traceries of tribal elk dancings. Your whims are intimations of what people will do 1,000 years hence. And those weird dreams are beyond your control and should be. And the hidden wraps you like a blanket, leaving you no choice but to live inside of it, immersed in the immense glory of it, whose glory has been your cyclone cocoon since you were the Big Bang, probably before. Thank you.